connecting. Yay!
Hey.
Hello. Oh my gosh, I love your stash.
Yeah, some people are not too sure about it, but I don't have to see people, so they don't have to be sure about it.
That's
I'm
the best
joined,
part.
I'm joined. We have a friend here. I have a second party. We got
Hello.
Cora.
Hi. Okay, this interview with Skylar is
This is
over.
actually, yeah. They don't want to see this face. They really want to see this face right here.
Oh my gosh, look at what a sweetheart. My dog is in the bedroom. She's over us being home and she's
Yeah,
just sleeping.
same.
Yeah. She's like, don't you guys have a job? What are you
I
guys doing?
know, right? Yeah,
How
it's
are
so
you?
great. Good. It's so great to I don't think we've ever met in person, but I definitely know of you in the studio. So thanks for
Thank
having
you.
me here.
Of course, we definitely corresponded before in other studios terms, and yeah, and I think, like you say, we've never actually met, but I think we've always had good conversations.
Definitely,
uh,
definitely.
how's it going? How's your day going?
Pretty good. Yeah, had a pretty much I start up my mornings the same every morning. We wake up around like 7:38 and we try to get in our my wife and get our workouts done, whatever it may be, ballet or not, before the afternoon, and then we just like chill, read, or watch TV. I've started my own podcast too for the Dance Collective, so I've been working on that the second half of the day, and so that's been a good um, time. Well, I don't want to say waster, but it's been taking up some time,
Absolutely not.
which is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same here, right? Like I never interviewed anyone before, and I thought, well, might as well, to
Yeah.
get us all going and get us all sharing, because after all, the fifth is what's all about, right? Like everyone just collaborating and
Yeah.
inspiring each other, and that's why we're bringing you guys here.
Yeah, I love it. I saw some of the other guests you have coming. Esteban's great, like so many others. I'm really like
Mhm.
excited to listen to the future interviews you do. But yeah.
Great. Okay, let me start this. Let's say, welcome everyone. Welcome to Talking to with the Stars. We are interviewing Skylar Campbell, Principal Dancer with the National Ballet of Canada today. And please make sure to send your questions if you guys have any. Write them in the comments, and we'll make sure that Skylar answers them. All right, Skylar. So tell us, where are you from? How did you start at ballet?
Okay, so I grew up in Southern California, Orange County, Laguna Beach to be exact, and had a pretty carefree, relaxed childhood, and didn't really get into dance until later in my youth. I would say around 13 or 14 is when I first started taking it seriously. My mom and my stepdad were both ballet dancers, so I always knew of the art form, but it wasn't until later that certain things of it started to pique my or spark my interest, I would say. And yeah, so I started my training um, with them, my mom and my stepdad, and at a local school in Orange County with two Russian teachers. And they had a good, strong base for me to kind of refine and kind of fast track my technique, so to speak, because at that point, I knew probably around then 16 or 17, I kind of knew I wanted to make it a career. And I was every year I trained, I fell in love with it more and more. So my Russian teachers were there for me, helping with my technique, and my mom and my stepdad were there, and for me refining my like conditioning, because I feel like that was a big part of my training too, because they own a Pilates studio and they still do. So I grew up with Pilates and cross training of all sorts with them, and then had teachers on the side. I did the Prix de Lausanne competition, ballet competition in Lausanne, Switzerland, and that's what brought me to Toronto. It was pretty unexpected for me to come here because growing up where I don't want to say I was kind of removed from the Canadian and the European dance scene, but I had my sights like set on more companies within the States and didn't really like see myself going or coming to Canada. And that's just because of my ignorance. Like I didn't know what was here. And it was, and I was so appreciative after the fact, finding or like realizing how special Toronto is as a place for arts and culture. My mentor, David Allen, also helped in my training and continues to help in my training. He was a former soloist with the National Ballet of Canada, actually, in Karen Kane's day. And he definitely helped refine my certain elements of technique and artistry and continues to do so. So he was another important figure in my life growing up and still is today. I was in Toronto, so I came to Toronto, I joined as an apprentice, spent 2 years as an apprentice, and then pretty much every 2 to 3 years after was promoted and was recently promoted to principal in 2018. So, and now here we are.
Amazing. I love it. This may be a bit of a personal question, but how do your mom and your stepdad felt at the beginning? Because I understand that you were not so much into ballet, like
yeah,
and after you became a ballet dancer, like how
I
they feel
think
about the thing.
I was happy that they were there for me when they needed to be, and then when I moved away from home when I was 18, then I felt like they could help me mentally a lot. I would talk to them a lot, and they would offer personal advice from their experience with being dancers. So but then I didn't have to necessarily be around them all the time. Like I could think for myself and have certain thoughts and feelings within myself too. So it was great. It was, I think my dynamic with them has always been very, very good, and they never pushed me. They only guided me, and that's what I will do the same for, or I will give that advice to any parent or person with children.
Yes, great. I wanted to ask, so once you started dancing with the company, I think you were only a core when you first got Nijinsky, perhaps?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so that was a pivotal moment in my career, which I had no clue was coming. I didn't expect it. And when it happened, I was kind of just going on adrenaline and doing the best I could and not really thinking of how awesome that experience was until after. And then, yeah, then that continued to be a piece in the National Ballet, a staple piece in the National Ballet's repertoire ever since we acquired it. And I got to perform it, and we continued to perform it pretty much every other year after that. So every year I came back to that role, I approached it with kind of like the new reinvented me, so to speak, within like, because ballet is like, I think we progress so quickly. Like things go quite fast, and so even within a year, like you can see dramatic changes within dancers. So, and I really felt that within myself, because I always felt like I needed to play this game of catch up. Like I was always a little bit behind with my technique, but once I got on stage, I never really worried about it. I kind of just let myself go and let the story, narrative or non-narrative story, kind of story of dance, kind of take me to whatever feeling or emotion. I was really, I always like was and still am fascinated by that aspect of dance and performing art in general. I love watching other artists of all different facets, and I think we can take little bits from all of them and apply them to our each and individual craft.
Totally. I wanted to ask about, and because this is a memorable role, what other memorable roles do you say, or more memorable moments on your career do you think
Mm-hmm.
you can share with us?
Okay, yeah, so that was a performing Nijinsky, John Neumeyer's Nijinsky was for me the most, um, probably the role that I've danced the most, and then it was the most memorable, especially when we got to perform it in Paris, France, at the Champs-Élysées Theater, where Nijinsky actually performed himself, was really, really special. So that moment in particular, I think will stay within my heart. One moment that I had, that I have in the front of my mind, and it comes up every now and then, when I'm actually on stage, is when I was 4 years old. And so as I mentioned, my parents were both ballet dancers, and they danced with the Hartford Ballet in Hartford, Connecticut, under the direction of Kirk Peterson. And I was around 4 years old when a choreographer there at the time, Jean Grand Maître, who is actually the artistic director of Alberta Ballet, I think former now. I believe he just retired. Please comment in below if I'm wrong about that. But anyway,
You're
so
right. I think they're
Jean was
about
doing,
to.
okay, Jean was doing a piece for them called Ancient Airs, and I was 4 years old, and he actually used me for the very end of the piece. I came in, it was a very contemporary, super modern piece, and I thought it was cool just to be on stage with my mom. You know, being a 4-year-old boy, I was like always attached to her hip. I couldn't leave her side, and so being on stage with her was just perfect. I felt like, great, you know,
Right.
mom doesn't have to go to work. I can just come to work with her and even be on stage with her. It's the
Amazing.
best. So
So there you go.
anyway, yeah,
You have like leading roles since age 4.
exactly. So the moment that I had on stage it wasn't dancing. Like at 4 years old, I wasn't like doing ballet. Like he literally, Jean, he literally just used me to like walk on stage. I was in this kind of like sheer kind of gown, kind of see-through gown with like a nude like bodysuit on underneath. And I walked in at the end of the piece, and there was this massive book that I would go and close, and that was the end of the ballet. And what I can remember is this little red light at the downstage markers for you know, the center, the eighth, the quarter. And like I didn't know what those were at the time, but I just remember staring at that light at the very end, and because they would tell me to hold, and then it would black out, and then all I would see is that little red light. So now, as a professional, we have those lights, and you know, I realize that, oh, those are the same lights. I mean, it's so silly, but I look at those lights and think back to that moment when I was 4 years old, not knowing what they were, and kind of just laughing about it now, and just thinking, wow, that was a pretty cool
That's amazing. It's just
experience.
basically something that's been with you pretty much your
Yeah,
whole.
exactly. It's been with me. So yeah, and that's being on stage, but not really knowing what it was. And like I said, like I didn't get into dance until much later, like 14, 15 years old. So yeah, that was an interesting kind of period in my life where I was, you know, not knowing what I was going to do as a career. You know, I was into many other things, playing drums, yeah, different sports, you know, skateboarding. I was really into that, and even thought I wanted to make it my career at one point. So yeah, many things.
That's great. Great. So speaking of very contemporary ballets, do you say that you will enjoy a contemporary ballet more over a classical ballet? What do you think you like best?
I mean, I think it just depends what type of contemporary and what type of
Mhm.
classical ballet we're talking about. I think they offer something completely different. Like we're at a point now in ballet where like so much is demanded of us, of like the versatility of dancers is is amazing. Like what we're, especially in ballet companies, like we're required to do so much more than just ballet. So I find that contemporary works, I like that challenge maybe me, but not one of my colleagues, for say, I look at as an opportunity for to help grow and develop my own sort of technique and repertoire. Um, with that being said, I feel like I wouldn't categorize contemporary classical. I would just say narrative-driven ballets, I think, are ballets
Okay.
that I like the most.
Okay. Awesome. So you like to, so I'm guessing you like to act a lot,
Yeah,
diving into
I
the
would say
character.
so. I would say so. I really like playing characters.
And how do you prepare yourself from one character, let's say from a Mercutio to Romeo?
Um, I haven't had the chance to do Romeo yet, but
Oh, sorry.
um, I would say an interesting parallel to that point was in Christopher Wheeldon's Alice's Adventures of Wonderland. I did the White Rabbit and the Knave of Hearts, which are two completely different characters, and I think that was a fun opportunity for me to dive into a more romantic role, and then the White Rabbit, which is more of a spontaneous kind of a fun role that I find maybe suits me more
Right.
than the Knave. But when I had the chance to do the Knave, I really enjoyed it because it was like I don't usually get the opportunity to dance roles like that. So, what was your question?
How do you prepare for the
How do
different
I
roles?
prepare? Right.
Yeah.
So I would say there's not one particular like way or method that I prepare. I think it's just um, like we're really well rehearsed, and we have great coaches, and every time like I personally step on stage, I feel ready just because of the nature of like the way the company is kind of like structured our rehearsal process. Like um, mentally and like stamina wise, preparing for different roles varies. Yeah, definitely that I'll like add some extra gym time if there's a ballet like William Forsythe's Vertiginous Thrill of Exactitude, which is like 10 minutes of pure like cardio and like grand allegro jumps, beats, turns, like never stops. So in for that ballet in particular, like you would probably want to push a little harder in class just to get that cardio up because
Mhm.
ballet class doesn't really um, always focus on the cardio aspect. Your heart rate never really goes over a certain um, amount for an extended period of time, and then when you're faced with pieces like that, you're like, oh crap, like now I gotta like train and train this side of my
Mhm.
my technique.
Totally. So do you in particular do any other cross training, like you say, cardio and
Yeah,
oh, things
definitely.
like that?
Well, right now in quarantine, the only way, like I don't have a stationary bike in my
Mm.
apartment, and I don't have, we're not able to access a gym.
Mhm.
So running with our dog Cora every morning has been sort of my um, cardio. I mean, it's like probably like 10 minutes, and then I'm like out of breath. So we're working on that, and I really do enjoy taking online yoga classes. There's a number of like YouTube instructors out there that I really enjoy, and it's actually kind of pivoted my mindset to consider even furthering that practice with becoming a teacher as well in that. So
Amazing.
Uh, yeah, so those are certain things that I do enjoy, but I really love everything though. Like honestly, like gyrotonics, Pilates, like HIIT classes, you know, gym workouts, strength training, like anything I will do, I will try. And you know, you take the best of all the different, you know, the variety of options, because we have so many options now, and there's a lot of platforms that we can kind of acquire these different ways of working out. And sometimes I can get overwhelmed. You know, it's like, where do I go? Do I go Instagram Live, or do I go a Zoom class, or do I do, or, you know, when this thing is over, like, will those options still be available? Probably. And then, or am I going to want to be in a room full of people? I prefer a room full of people. I prefer
Right.
being in a room, like a group class environment is like super ideal for me, because I think it's more familiar to like what we do as ballet dancers every day. We're in the room with our colleagues every morning in ballet class, you know, doing these sort of repetitive meditative movements. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Um, awesome.
yeah.
I actually want to go a little bit back into your dancing career and all that, because one question that our followers love to hear is, are there any funny moments on stage that happened to you?
On stage,
It doesn't have to be on stage, also, whatever you
yeah.
want to share.
Oh my gosh, let me think. I wasn't prepared for this question.
Let's send
I,
it to you.
no, it's fine. Okay, off the top of my head, I've had so many costume malfunctions. I feel like I'm just prone for something wrong to happen with my costume every time I do about like we did. So back to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, there were like in one show, I must have had like 5 different costume malfunctions, and it was
Oh,
just like one thing after the next. And then my shirt was just like got completely ripped open, and I was like literally shirtless on stage for like the end of that last pas de deux that the Knave does with Alice. And you know, it's hilarious. I mean, at the time, you're like furious. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. But you know, yeah. So costume malfunctions, I feel like are, you know, like hooks getting stuck to jacket, or jacket hooks getting stuck to um, the girls' tutus and skirts, and yeah, so many like that. I mean, there's so those are just general things. I'm trying to think of like a particular story that I could share with all of you right now, and um, yeah, there's oh yeah, that Pinocchio nose.
oh my
If
God.
anyone watched our production of Pinocchio, we had this um, with this growing nose that I would control inside my pocket. And that shout out to the production department at the National Ballet, because they designed this mechanism that was like amazing, but it still was very, very difficult for the dancers, for all of us who played that role, to kind of like click on and off the mechanism to make the nose shoot out. So multiple performances. I think I only got it once where the nose actually grew, because every other time you'd be dancing around, and then the little mechanism would pop, and then it would release. So you'd have this giant nose flailing around the stage, like before like 10 minutes before the moment was supposed to happen. So
I know it's pretty hard because, I mean, as dancers, we're not too used to dealing with mechanisms, right?
yeah, and that was the thing. That was a show filled with props and filled with costume changes and like technicalities with the harnesses and the flying, and that was kind of like, to your question, like contemporary or classical, like we're not trained to do this sort of thing, and it's kind of like we're forced to kind of pivot into these uncharted territories, and adapt and learn quite quickly, which yeah, I will take with me, and you know, remember that moment. And then when we're faced with something else, I'll be like, you grow from that, and you use that to your advantage when you're taking on something that's similar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. Another question, this is my personal favorite question. If you could train with any coach, dead or alive, I know you've had some wonderful coaches, and I know that you guys have a beautiful team of coaches at the National Ballet. But if
Yeah.
you could train with anyone else, who would that be? Dead or alive?
Probably I would love to have not even been coached by or just take Eric Brune's class. I hear so many countless stories about him, and my mentor David Allen was fortunate enough to be trained and mentored by Eric in the National Ballet. So David tells me a lot of stories and utilizes a lot of the information that he gave him. David shares with me, but I would have loved to have actually met him and trained with him.
Do you have any story in particular about Eric that you like to share?
No, I don't. I mean, he was well before my time. I'm sure David would, and I can't remember any of the stories from him, but in general, I think he's a person. He's kind of like he was a strong influence on the ballet world at large. I think wherever he went, people really followed and kind of took his advice and quite seriously, and he was such a special part of the history of ballet. So
did you ever compete in his competition? I missed that. But the only competition that I've ever done was Youth America Grand Prix a number of times, and then the Prix de Lausanne in Lausanne, Switzerland. Amazing. And Lausanne, I loved Lausanne because it was spread out within a week, and the judges got to see everyone in all different styles we're talking about, and yeah, it was really fun. I think that's where I shine, like not necessarily the actual variation, because I don't really necessarily do tricks or had that to show, like very many pirouettes or super high jumps. Like, I think what benefited me in that environment was them being able to see me in the studio and how I worked there. And I would say that's probably a good piece of advice for dancers, for young dancers wanting to know what the most important part about being a dancer is. And I think it's truly every part, but I think being in the studio is where we are a lot of the time. So if you have a strong work ethic and show, you don't even have to be versatile. You just have to show that you want to try and you want to be there. And I think that reads so loudly. And then people will take you and they will coach you and train you, and to not always try to please whoever's at the front of the room either. I learned that, and to truly try to do it for yourself, because if you're trying to do it for them, you're gonna go into a mental spiral that cannot always be helpful at times. Totally. So with that being said, would you say that those are some of the values that you look for, and now that you're forming a collective of your own, is that how you choose your dancers?
Definitely. Well, I think with my collective, I wanted to assemble artists of all ranks from Canada and the States, and bring them together for a awesome repertoire show, showing the diversity and the unity that we can all find within each other. And it was obviously the show was set to happen this June, and was obviously canceled due to COVID, but we're planning on reassembling for next summer. I'm not sure when that would be, but hopefully it will be around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But the dancers that yeah, and to answer your question, yes, I love that in my peers. So being around that and kind of and then it's nice to see everyone come in on the weekends and really be there because they want to be there too. That's not to say that in our company that doesn't happen, but it's so different. It's just like a different dynamic, and
Totally.
you know, we have good days and we have bad days. So coming in with the collective on the weekends, you know, you really see that like everyone's wanting to be there to work and have fun. And that was kind of my goal. I just kind of wanted to, you know, not do anything so crazy or ambitious, but just, you know, switch our routines a little bit, gather people from different areas within the company and outside the company, and start learning from each other, because, you know, this career is short, so we have to make every moment count, and we have to make every moment on stage count, because there's becoming a limited amount of opportunities for us to be on stage because of financial constraints and other various reasons of that sort. So this was another way for me to get people out on stage performing more.
Amazing.
In a more intimate, like, boutique environment.
I love that, because I think, like you say, the most important thing for a dancer is just to be there on stage.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so what do you say will be the future of your collective? What are your big dreams, small dreams?
Well, I definitely want to bring all the repertoire that we had assembled for our first show here to Toronto, and definitely around the States in smaller theaters that will help present us. And then probably eventually, you know, have like a new work created would be super fun, and possibly do more collaborations with schools and involve the community at large in that way.
Amazing. So is it safe to say that you're gonna try to bring Canadian and American dancers culture together?
Sure, you could say that.
Amazing. Okay, so I want to go into our little lightning round, which is not that fast, and it's just like some questions about like this or that,
Yeah.
And
All
please
right.
do feel free to elaborate in whatever you want to elaborate. We don't have to go
Okay.
that fast. Also, if anyone has a question, right now is the moment to send it on our comments. Okay, so let's start this. Do you prefer pliés or tendus?
Oh, this is not going to be lightning for me. I'm going to overanalyze every one of these questions. So, please.
Totally fine. We have time.
Please. Let's do it. Please.
Okay. Jumps or turns?
Jumps.
Salad or poutine?
Oh, people are going to hate me for this. How about a poutine salad?
All right, I'll take that if that's such a thing exists. Okay. Prodigal Son or Apollo?
Oh man, I need to watch Prodigal Son. I've never seen it live. I've only seen the film version. So in my account, I would say Apollo, because right. I just watched the National Ballet do it, and everyone looks so beautiful in it. So
okay, something like that. Serenade or Rubies?
Oh, Serenade.
Amazing. Christopher Wheeldon or Forsyth?
Oh my gosh. How could you do this to me? No, I'm kidding. I would say right now Forsyth is really coming out of a long period of not being in the studio. So I'd have to say Forsyth. right now, currently. Wheeldon is really established himself in the Broadway world and the ballet world, and I think is a strong, super strong force that, and I love them both, and I've worked with them both, so like I can't say, like I'm just I I plead the fifth.
Sorry. So speaking of that, working with Foresight, did you get to do more than one work of his?
Yeah, so we did a program with three of his works,
Mhm.
Approximate Sonata, Vertiginous, Thrill of Exactitude, and the Second Detail. And I was in the Second Detail and Vertiginous, and
Mhm.
he came in to the studio to work with us for a week, which was brilliant. It was so much fun. He is just nothing but a giver and only wants to see us progress physically and emotionally too. Like he's a really, really awesome guy. And I'm super happy he's back creating works. You know, he's created a number of works recently for Boston Ballet, EMB. I mean, I think, I hope I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
here,
so yeah.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, it's fine. We, I've had a limited experience. Like I have this only like little snapshot of
Mhm.
what he's like to work with. So that's all I can say.
Amazing. So here's my next question. Second detail or British industrial?
Oh man, I would have to say second detail because of the like group atmosphere that piece creates. Like you're sitting back on the chairs and you get up and you do your variation, you bust it out, and then you go sit back down. And then you stand up and you do another little thing, and then you go, and then everyone gets up together. Like it has this such a
Mm,
like flow between everyone that I love. And I really think it has that group communal effort that at the end it's like everyone had their moment
mhm.
to
Great.
shine within the piece. So
Amazing. I loved it when I went to watch it.
yeah.
I'm a big fan of you all. Okay, next question is what is it? Siegfried or Basilio?
um, Personally, I haven't danced either of those roles, but
Mhm.
as a spectator, um, I would have to say Siegfried. I mean, Basilio's fun. If you can pull that stuff off, like that's your jam. Like that's I'm like totally into that. I think Siegfried offers a more kind of nuanced approach
Mhm.
to a full length narrative. But I don't know. I saw some people on here that may have done those roles, so you could chime in and like say which one you prefer.
Yes,
Was
please.
Brendan on here? I think Brendan was there,
I
and
think so.
he's done Siegfried, so maybe he can tell you. Anyway,
Yes, Brendan, if you are here still, let us know what you prefer. But with this being said, what are some roles that you have not done and that you would love to do?
hmm, I would um, I would love to do one. I would love to do one of those roles you mentioned. Either of those roles sound like a challenge for me, and I'm always up for that. There's also I'd also love not roles in particular. Maybe there's different choreographers that I would love to dance certain pieces. Probably like Maurice Bijard. Like I've never done anything from him. Uh, yeah, so he's one mind that comes to one name that comes to mind. Excuse me, and um, yeah, there's so many. There's so many, but I don't want to feel like, oh, I like, you know, I really I'm appreciative
Mhm.
of what I've been given, and um, definitely will strive for more. And but there I don't want to like pinpoint it on one particular thing, because then I think I'll get super fixated on that. And like, if it didn't happen at the time, like by the time I like retire, then I'll feel like, oh, I regret not doing that. So
Right.
I'd rather just not, have it in mind, like have it in the back of my mind, but not make it a priority. Make, I have so many other things, just focusing on my daily technique a priority, and that consistency of the daily routine, to just improve your body, and the extremities as much as you can, I think are what I focus on to have. And then those roles, those specific roles or different goals will come or they won't, but it's a lot of it's about timing in this career.
Absolutely.
So I would think, or I would suggest not being, caught up on necessarily one role in particular. Sorry, not to like diminish your question, because
No, not at all.
it's a perfectly
think,
good, perfectly like valid question. It's a great question, and I think I need to ask myself that. Maybe I need to ask myself that more often.
But still, I think that's a great answer, because that is a perfect way of saying that you are living in the present, and as opposed to living in the future, which is something that most of us just like to do.
Yes.
And probably not the
Yeah.
healthy thing, like you mentioned.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so Nurjev or Baryshnikov?
Okay, Nureyev. Sorry.
Okay. That's okay.
I mean, he everywhere he went, wherever he went, that arts organization boomed. Like, the National Ballet wouldn't be on the map if it wasn't for Nureyev, I have to say. Like, don't quote me on that. I think that may be my opinion, but I think it's true. Wherever he went and whatever he brought with him, that company flourished. So I'd have to say Nureyev, just because he progressed the art form so much, and introduced, like Baryshnikov introduced, male technique as it was never seen before, and so many dancers of that time looked up to Baryshnikov for that. But Nureyev embodied this persona that was like untouchable.
Right. I love that, because I feel like most people are Baryshnikov driven.
Yeah.
But yes, I think I agree with you. Okay,
Nice.
so Ontario or Florida?
Oh my gosh. Wait, what do you mean? Like Ontario, like
In general,
oh,
just
okay.
life, culture, family, if you will. I don't know, whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, I want to be wherever she's at right now. No, I'm kidding. I would have to say here right now. I would have to say here in Toronto.
Amazing. I
Yeah.
love that. You're so present and grounded, and that's
Yeah.
very refreshing.
Yeah, and no, I had to think about it though, because it's true. I was gonna say home, and my wife Jackie and I were always like, every second we get, we're like, when are we going to LA? Like, let's go back home. And we do, and we love it, and we're like, oh, we wish we could live here, and we do dream, and I think maybe it'll happen someday. Like, I'm not sure, but like you said, like our life is here, and I love this city, and we're really happy.
Amazing. So, just a little random question. What are your favorite hobbies? What else do you do besides dance? Or if you were not a dancer, what would you like to be?
Well, I mentioned, like, I really am interested in yoga, and also music. I think was a big part of my upbringing before I started dance. I do enjoy playing the drums when I get the chance. I don't have a drum set in my apartment. I have an electric set that's at a colleague's house. And hopefully when this thing is over, we'll be able to get, I'll be able to get back on that set and play a little bit. So definitely drumming is a big part of my creative outlets and one of my hobbies. And yeah, I love also just getting to know the city that I live in every day so much better, and really trying to explore new areas and take a good just like get to know people that live here that aren't dancers. I think probably is a goal, maybe a goal of mine, because I think there's so many other artists that live here that have great ideas and are putting on great shows. So I love to try to immerse myself in their world as much as I immerse myself in my own.
Totally. I love that. And hopefully the fifth can be the home to all of these artists one day.
I couldn't agree more. That would be awesome.
We have a question. Somebody's asking, what is your favorite yoga teacher or studio in Toronto or elsewhere?
Ooh, okay, good question. In Toronto, there's Yoga Space on Ossington, and then there's Y Yoga, and I love all the teachers that teach at both of those places. Online, there's 3 online teachers that YouTube instructors that have their own practice off of YouTube as well. I would say it's Brett Larkin, Yoga with Tim, and Breathe and Flow, FLO.
Amazing.
So
okay,
yeah, those are my picks.
Okay, I'll recommend you a teacher. Her name is Debbie Wilson. Her yoga class is my favorite class of them all in the city. So I'll send you her stuff.
Yeah, I need to take from her.
Yeah, she's amazing. Anyways, so just to finish off, I would like to ask, what's your life motto? Just a simple question, you know.
Life motto. Don't live life with regrets. Don't regret anything, even if it's something that you think you should regret. Know it happened for a reason, and then just move on from it. That's
amazing. Short
That's it. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, I think I'm super happy with this, and
yeah, it was awesome talking. Thanks.
Are you teaching any classes online?
No, I'm not actually. Not yet though. Okay. So possibly. I mean, I think I'll. There's one class that may be happening next week, next Wednesday. But I'm not entirely sure yet. So I can't say anything. I mean, this has been an opportunity for us all to like kind of delve into the teaching aspect of dance. So I wouldn't say I've never done it before, but I wouldn't be opposed to trying. So yeah, there's one opportunity next Wednesday, and I'll be sure to share that when it's happening. Yeah.
And I mean, if you ever want to come and guest teach at the 5th, we'll be happy to have you.
That would be awesome too. Yeah. So I can't promise anything spectacular, but you know, I'm sure it'll be the best I can do.
I'm sure fine. With all your experience, I'm pretty sure there's so many insightful things that we can all learn from you.
Thanks.
Someone is saying, we love the podcast that Skylar is doing. We did, my husband and I, he's also a dancer. We were listening to it because he is a big fan of Jillian, and we're listening to that episode, and it's great. I love it.
Nice. Oh yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of fun talking to them, and yeah, I'll continue to interview dancers of the collective. And yeah, it's just nice to get to know my peers.
I love that, because I mean, you're collaborating, and that's what it is about.
Yeah, definitely. And in that sort of setting, you kind of spark different conversations that you wouldn't normally do, kind of like in the daily routine, like in the studio, or say just, out to drinks, because when we go out as groups of friends within company, we're just gossiping, or, we're not like really like asking ourselves these kind of
Mhm.
questions
Insightful.
that I like to ask. And I just like to stay curious and ask questions. So, that's what it is. Just like
I
you.
think I know. I was gonna say I think that's great advice. I am always curious of so many things, and I think that's we do all of these things. But
Yeah.
yeah, how do you prepare yourself? Oh, we talked about this before. How do he prepare himself for Nijinsky?
Yeah, and
Um,
I was saying in general, like I don't prepare myself. I prepare myself pretty much the same way for whatever role I'm doing, big or small. It's usually just like a 20-minute bar um, right before half-hour call, and then in the 30 minutes before, if I'm on at the top of the show, I'll practice some of the elements and then do the show. Or if it's, I'll gauge it for whenever I'm like about to be on stage. And I do like to like get my heart rate up, get a little sweat going, and feel like, a little bit warm in that way before. So yeah, but in Nijinsky, like in Nijinsky in Paris, there was nowhere to warm up. I mean, there was a studio like 3 floors down, this spirally staircase, those old like European theaters. Um,
mhm.
the Champs-Élysées was like, it's such an awesome theater. It's super small and intimate, and yeah, there was nowhere to warm up, so I just did like, my warm up side stage. Whereas the Four Seasons Center, we have a giant studio right
Right.
next to the stage. It's like
Love
we
it.
couldn't we couldn't be like any luckier to have that thing right there. So when we tour and go to other places, it's like I feel like we're all we're always like, where's the studio? Like we're super
I know.
spoiled. I know,
We're so
it's
lucky in
ridiculous.
Canada.
Yeah.
Um, all right. I think we're gonna finish off that before Instagram cuts us off. But it was so great talking to you, and thank you
Likewise.
for doing this. And for all of you who probably missed the first half of the conversation, we will be saving this, and we're uploading everything to our YouTube channel for now because I still haven't figured out Instagram TV, and I don't know. It's a pain in this.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
But yes, thank you everyone, and join us on Friday. We'll be interviewing Esteban Hernandez from San Francisco Ballet. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.